Hey, what's up guys? Jack Lion here again today for another Max for Live tutorial. And today I wanted to show you guys how we can begin to build audio-reactive patches that you can use in Ableton. So I could go through and automate parameters if I wanted to eventually. But for now, what I want to show you is just how to build something basic and sort of what tools we're going to be using. All right. So I'm going to be going over how to create a basic envelope follower. It's really easy. And as well as that, we're going to create a slab processing kernel. So I'll show you what that means. It's not that bad. So a few things you might want before we get started. So I'm going to open this up. Let's go to the package manager. Okay, and oops. Okay, and we're going to look for ease. All right, we're going to want this. All right, so make sure you have this installed. I'm on version 1.2.2 in this video. Okay, so go ahead and grab that because we're going to use that. All right, first things first, to build this, we need a max audio effect. Okay, this is going to be where we build our patch. All right, I'm going to delete this crap. All right, so we'll keep plug in, plug out. And I want to divide the signal of the left and right channel. Okay, so since we're dividing two channels, or combining two channels, we need to divide by 2 so that we get a signal that is a nice volume, a nice level. So, okay, moving on, we're going to want a multiplication tilde, and I'll give it an argument of 0, and we'll connect that. Now I want a live dot dial, and I want this live dot dial to have a float unit, and its range to be between 0 and 4. Now, maybe the initial value will be 1. Okay, cool. So I can just connect that there. Now, the next thing you want is this object here called average. Now, average takes an argument. Now, given an argument in samples, this is the max averaging interval. So if you look at that here, what that basically means is we're defining the interval in samples over which we want to average. Okay, so it's going to make a difference. And there's 3 modes that we can use. You can try all 3 if you'd like, but for this, we're going to use absolute. Okay, so I like absolute. It gives me pretty nice results. But if you're curious, we also have bipolar and root mean square. So check those out, see what they do. And go ahead and connect this patch cord here. All right, now I'm just gonna include a number tilde object. Very important that we use that tilde. And I'm going to also create a scope. Oh my God. Okay. And I'm going to give this scope a cal count sample size of like just 25. Okay, we'll connect that here, and this is going to be where we can actually see our envelope being followed. All right, so moving on for now, we're going to grab this ease, and it's very important we take this right outlet because this is going to display max numbers, whereas this one's going to be a signal, as you can see by the green patch cord. Okay, so we're going to employ ease for this task, and I'm going to use a scale object. Scale can be very useful. 0 point, 1 point, 2 point, 10 point. Cool. All right, so I'm also going to use classic 0 in case I want to use an exponent curve later. Now, I don't think I will for this video, but I just want to flex the new max stuff. Okay, so plug that up from ease, and we're going to close this. All right, so now we're going to start building our jitter context. All right, so we're going to start with a jit world, and we're going to use a triple hyphen followed by whatever the name of the context will be. So we could just call this whatever we want. Let's call it whatever. Okay, and we're also going to just use the attribute floating 1 and size HD. 1920 by 1080. All right, create a read message box followed by a jit movie. And we're going to select the attribute output texture 1. Okay, so this is going to allow us to read textures rather than images and matrices. And that advantage of that basically is that we'll be using the GPU rather than the CPU, which is way more efficient and optimized for video processing. All right, and the very next thing we'll need is a jit.gl.video plane. And I'm going to give this the same name as our context. We'll call it whatever. And for now, let's go with transform reset 1. Don't forget to hook up this read here. All right, so now we should have something that works if we enable this JIT world and read a texture from our computer. So make sure you grab this toggle, plug it into the JIT world. We're going to activate our context and then read a file from our disk. And there it is. Now it's not quite HD because this image isn't HD, but I believe if we play around with transform reset, we can have it fill the screen if we'd like. But that might stretch it and such, so you might have to play around a little bit to get the results you're looking for, but I generally just like to stick with the exact dimensions. Moving forward, we're going to actually start to look at this other object called jit.gl.slab. Okay, and I'm just going to give it this attribute file for now. And if we connect it here, then nothing happens. But if we look in our search path here and type in .jxs, we have access to all of these .jxs types, and that's exactly what this slab is looking for. So I'm going to play with one of the ones in here I'm a little more familiar with. Maybe I'll explore some more and show you guys some cool effects in the future if you like this video. But for now, let's just go with td.kaleido.jxs and leave it at that. And whoopee, we already got something. Okay, so the next step is something I forgot to mention. So if we go into our preferences, we can actually see, if we type in text in our search, we have a external text editor. So we want to say yes, always use external text editor, and we want to choose whichever one we want to use. I happen to be using Atom because I like it, and it was the first one I was introduced to. So there's all sorts of different ones. Just look up text editors and find one that you like. Okay, so once you have that set up, now what we can do is command click here. Okay, and what's going to happen is our text editor will pop up. I'll just clear up a little space. And this is our shader code. Now, I can't tell you how to install the syntax for GLSL, but I recommend you download a package that allows you to see the actual syntax. Anyway, so here we actually see something interesting. We have a list of parameters here. Okay, so I'm interested in this one called div. Now, shaders are something I'm currently diving into, and I'm excited to present you guys more information as it comes, but for now, I want to learn the most I can in order to present to you guys the most accurate details. But for now, what we can do is just start playing with these ones that are already here in Max. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to choose this div param, and the way I'm going to do it is actually I'm going to close this now, and we're going to create a message box that says param div $1. Okay, and then we're going to actually add a number box here, more specifically a float type, and just connect that here. And that's so that later we can see the numbers. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this, and I'm also interested in the scale parameter. So I'll just do that. and then I'll connect these here. Okay, so we're getting close. Now what I can do is I can actually connect the output of the scale here, which is the output of our envelope follower, and plug these in. And okay, so just to give you a few more tips, something you can do is dynamically change this argument to affect the way that the envelope follower reacts, which maybe I'll show you guys later. But we can also play with the scaling with these inlets: input low, input high, and then output. So we also have an exponent, like a curve function. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that before we move forward, because this is how you hone in and really rein in on the look that you want from your audio to whatever visual you're creating. Okay, so let's save this. Actually, we'll call it AR slab test. Put in the desktop, and let's just go ahead and start playing audio. Okay, looking pretty cool so far. Let's see that again. Okay, so here you can see how the average object is basically taming this into something that we could use as a control signal. So pretty cool stuff. I'm going to delete that. Oops, not that, but this. And the next thing I'm going to do is show you on this easing function thing, we can actually call upon, let's just open up the help. And all I'm interested in is this. So I'll grab that, throw it in here, and I'll add that to the presentation. So that can go into ease. And it starts us out on linear, but what happens is if we change the mode, we get slightly different functions. So let's see what this looks like. I don't know about you, but I noticed a slight difference in the fact that number one actually is a little bit smoother. Maybe if I read a brighter texture, it might be a little more obvious. So we'll look at how to do more fun things like that in the future. But for now, let's have a little bit more fun. Because there's a lot more we could do here. So we can, for instance, make another slab and put it in here. And rather than just concatenating them like this, I'm going to just choose a different file. So this one's going to be cc.brcosa.jxs. Okay, and then the parameter we're going to use here, oops, it's called saturation. And again, how do I know that? I command click or control on Windows click, and I look at the parameters. So here I see image, AVG luma, contrast, brightness. So I'm only interested in saturation for now. So let's go ahead and plug that in. Now I'm going to take the outlet from scale here again, and we're going to see what that looks like now. Okay, so it may be kind of hard to see, but you can see how it desaturates and then resaturates when it hits a peak. I'd have to rein this in a little better to show you it a little bit more nicely, but go ahead and play around with these slabs, man. I mean, there's lots and lots of files to try. I mean, lots of them. I think over like 200. And I think some of them are a little bit more tricky to figure out than others, and it might not always be obvious what they do. One thing that makes it a little bit easier sometimes is there might be a description. So this says shader for modifying image contrast by interpolation and extrapolation. Okay, so like that doesn't really mean much to me on first glance, but then when I think about it and realize what this actually is doing, that makes sense. We're modifying image contrast by interpolation and extrapolation. Now these two words, don't let the big words throw you off, you know? Okay, so one more thing I wanted to show you before we wrap this up. I'm going to call upon the vizzie library here and wait for it. Okay, so I'm going to look for this feeder. Now what the feeder will do is basically create a nice feedback loop. So that's going to help when you know, like some of the peaks or like the motions aren't as nice like and smooth. It's almost like someone said, I think Rob Ramirez said in this like live stream, that it's like almost like reverb in the sense that it sustains the pixels on the screen so that any jerkiness gets smoothed over a little bit. And this can be a really beautiful effect, but on here it's probably going to look a little jank, not going to lie. But in the future, hopefully I can help you guys make some cooler looking stuff. So, all right. Anyway, enough of that. Let's plug that in, save, and see what happens. Okay, pretty cool. Now let's start actually assembling our presentation of the patch, and that way we can wrap it up. So what we need to do is click on a blank space in the patch, click the inspector, and select this patcher inspector toggle. And close to the bottom, you'll see open in presentation. Make sure that's enabled. Super important. Next, we're going to actually make sure everything we want to add to the presentation is added. So all we really need are the toggle, this read message, this attribute object, and this live.dial. Now this won't be the most robust device, but let's see. Okay, we'll make it work. This will be sort of like our prototype for moving forward and building more complex patches, shall we? All right, so view, set device width, and I kind of have to open this window up a little bit in order to expose that. So I'll move this over and just start adding things in. Now this is a very sparse presentation, but it does the job. Okay, so bring that in a little bit and save. Okay, so we can name this gain. Okay, I won't spend too much time making this nice or anything, so let's just see if we close this. All right, let's toggle, read. Okay, sometimes you have to kind of toggle some things, and this was off the screen, but yeah, basically I had to toggle this on and off after switching it for some reason. Sometimes the jitter max for live stuff's a little glitchy when you're working on it, but if you ever have any problems working on this stuff, save the patch somewhere like on your desktop, and then you can just delete it. And then let's see, it's right here, so I can just throw it on there and use it. It should work now. Okay, cool. So let's see what happens. But yeah, that's how we do it. that's the basics of creating a slab Max for Live device. So we can start to process images, videos, maybe even do 3D stuff later on the GPU. And that's very important if we're wanting to work with visuals, especially audio as well, since audio resides mostly on the CPU. And we want all of our graphic stuff to be offloaded to the GPU, which is optimized to handle more demanding tasks, such as calculating things for every pixel on every screen, lightning speed. So I hope that was informative. I hope this helps. And if you guys have any questions or suggestions for videos, please, by all means, let me know. Shout out to my Patreon supporter. Right now, my only supporter is John Diffuso, Collective Unconscious. Shout out him. Go check him out. If you like this video, comment, like, subscribe, and consider checking out the Patreon if you want to support. All right? Thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy your day. Later.